All right, and I think we are live, ladies and gentlemen and ladies. We are live. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Smash Times Lead Therapy. We got a really cool guest today. This guy, when you do YouTube, you end up not watching a lot of other YouTubers, and that's the same case with me. And I didn't know who he was. I met him at SHOT Show through Mr. Big Kid, and he seemed like a pretty cool guy. So that night I was back at the hotel and I checked out some of his stuff, and I was like, man, this guy really knows what he's talking about. He's kind of a Glockophile, but we won't hold that against him. And without further ado, tactical considerations.
What's up, man?
What's going on, bud? Hey, man, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it. I know you're super busy, and yeah, I just like having conversations with different gun YouTubers that I find interesting.
Yeah, you're right, though. We never get to watch each other's content.
I don't.
I never have the time.
I don't. I mean, the fact that you were knocking out 3-4 videos a week for a minute, I don't know how you do it.
For a year, dude. Man.
That's a lot. That's a lot. Yeah, let's see.
A lot of work, man. But there's so much stuff out there, dude. Like, there's so many cool things out there to play with and run. So why not? Shoot everything you can.
Yeah, shoot everything. And then, what's funny? I was talking to a guy today that wanted to start a channel, and he's kind of hemming and hawing about it. And I'm like, just do it. Your first videos are going to be terrible. Just start it today.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll get to yours. That's a whole paragraph coming up of questions. But
so
mine were horrible. Yours were not actually that bad compared to most. And shit, even Mr. Big Kid, Toolbox. I mean, a lot of these guys started out. If you watch a lot of Demolition Ranch's first videos, not that great. Not that great.
But yeah, we all look back and just horrified by the first videos we put out. Audio set color was terrible. Lighting was absolute dog shit.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. So you're based out of Arizona. Are you native in Arizona?
Yeah, so I was born and raised actually in Phoenix. I left for the Army and was planning to stay where my last duty station was up in Washington State, but it started to get too crazy up there politically wise and everything. And I kind of saw the writing on the wall. So I actually moved back down to Arizona when I got out, and I've lived down here ever since, man. I'm not going to be living here much longer, though. We've kind of chosen where we want to go. We're getting out of Arizona because it's basically turned into East California at this point. And we're going to be moving to Tennessee in the next probably 36 to 48 months. So
Tennessee, come to Texas, man.
Well, it's a possibility. We actually have a friend that owns 2,300 acres out there backed up to the Davy Crockett National Forest. There's some talks going on there, but I'd prefer Tennessee.
Tennessee is really nice. I like it quite a bit, but logistically, I think anything north of Houston, I'm about 20 minutes north of Houston, and there's actually a humidity change. Like if you're down in Galveston, it's hot and nasty, but if you get closer to like the north part of Houston, or I'm up by the Woodlands, it's like 10 degrees difference in humidity. It's not so bad. And if you're
for me,
towards Dallas is really nice.
Yeah, I just want to live in the woods again. So I'm not doing. My whole adult life I've spent wearing a bulletproof fucking vest in a desert somewhere in this world, and I'm done.
That's right.
I don't want to wear it anymore.
Dude, I miss that dry heat. Desert. I like dry heat. Like I used to go to Vegas a lot, and that dry heat, I love it.
Until you spend some time out there in your first 120-degree day, and you realize, yeah, this is not cool. It's not good.
The first time I experienced that, I was driving from. I'm from LA originally. I was driving from LA to Vegas, and it's only a couple hours. Yeah. And I thought, hey, we had the windows up, AC on, and we got there. We were right outside Vegas, and we would stop to get gas, and we opened the door, and the heat just sucked the oxygen out. It was 117, and it sucked the air out of your lungs. It's so freaking hot.
It's like entering, and people don't understand it. It's like when you're cooking a turkey Thanksgiving and you open that oven. That's literally what it feels like when you step out of your air-conditioned car or your house.
All right. So you grew up in Arizona-ish all your whole life. And how old were you when you got into guns?
Oh, God. I grew up around guns. My father always had guns. Grandfather had guns. I think the first time I actually shot like a real gun was like my grandfather's 32 ACP Pearl pearl handled chrome gun that he bought for my grandma because they were long haul truckers, and my dad actually got, or my grandpa actually got in a shooting with that gun at a truck stop. So we tried to rob him. He took a round and then just smoked the dude.
No kidding.
That was like the first gun I ever shot. I think I was like 7.
Holy
And this little tiny 32 ACP. Prior to that, we'd always had our air guns and all that stuff, but we weren't allowed to shoot like the true, like, actual gunpowder projectile guns until about 7 or 8, I think. And then, growing up, just got more into them. And as you can start buying things and acquiring things, or going hunting or camping, fishing with friends and shooting, just kind of grew from there. And then obviously in the military, I got to play with everything that you could imagine there, and then just kept buying, trying different things, and never lost that love of the Second Amendment, right? Our constitutional right. But 2, just to have something, to me, I look at them, it's nothing different than the hot rods I have, or the motorcycle, or my boat, or it's just another thing. But that tool provides not only a service to me, but to somebody else that may need it. Plus it's all right. So just like we can talk, we can carry a gun.
I love it, man. I got into guns late. I was already in my 20s, and man, I was really leftist growing up. California, man, very tree huggy. I mean, we won't talk about how bad that was, but let's check the chat real quick and see who's in here. We got Fluffy, Survival, Carolina EDC. What's up, man?
Oh, hey, what's going on, man?
Shooting Gallery, New England.
Yeah.
Jesus, Scott, Mr. Lee Fox, my 1911 expert. Urban Ninja. Hello, Mike and Mike. Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah. Although we look nothing alike in real life. He looks more Arnold Schwarzenegger-y, and I look more like Uncle Fester. So it's a big difference. We could be like the twins, and Danny. I could be Danny DeVito.
Oh yeah, Danny DeVito and Arnold and twins. Yeah.
Yeah, you get all the good genetics, and I'm Julian.
I got the shit that was left over.
Yeah.
I remember that movie. Oh God, I loved that movie.
Yeah, the milkshake.
Yeah, it's got the shirt bad to the bone.
Yeah,
or some shit like that on there.
Yeah. All right, and if you are not already a subscriber to Tactical Considerations, I would highly suggest it. I don't have people on my chat that I don't find really interesting. So
you said something about like a Glockish kind of guy.
You're kind of a Glockophile, but I heard you like 1911, so I won't hold it against you.
You have not paid attention to any of my content. I have so much other stuff besides Glock.
I know.
My least preferred handgun.
Well, I didn't know it was your least preferred, but you sure have like barrels, slides, a lot of.
Oh, I got everything.
Triggers.
Yeah.
We'll get to that. So you grew up in Phoenix. You grew up with guns at an early age. Then you went in the service. Now I know because my brother went in the service. My dad I come from a long line of people that went in the service. I just never did. Did you go in to escape the home life, or did you feel a calling? I mean, why did you go in the military?
So, I grew up in the 90s, right? So, long military history in the family. My mom's side, some of my dad's side, and cousins, all that stuff. Some friends around me. So there's always an influence there. My family was very pro-America. They believed in the country. They believed in the opportunity. They believed in what it was, and that you should work hard for what you get. And one of my first memories, real memories, when I could start to understand the news and stuff, was watching our boys get dragged through the streets of Somalia. And I remember seeing that scenario go down. I couldn't really remember Desert Shield, Desert Storm. I mean, I kind of remember it, but it's like you're too really young to understand it. And I kind of started to see the stuff going on there with that. And then as you start to pay more attention, you get a little older, seeing that, I was kind of like, yeah, that's not going to happen if I'm alive, right? I can't see that again. So kind of made that kind of like a goal in life, was to go into the military and do something cool, which I eventually did. I went into the military. I went into the Army as just an 11X contract. At that point, was basically you're an infantry guy, and they're going to throw you wherever they throw you. And me and actually a good friend of mine, he's a group guy, we got chosen around at a base training. They're like, hey, do you guys want to go try this? And I was like, yeah, that sounds badass. And I remember that. That's some of my mom's friends had done things in Vietnam and everything with group and with Rangers. And that's where I got to go. And that's where I served my enlistment. and it was an amazing experience. And part of me wishes I would have stayed longer. Part of me thinks I got out around the right time. Part of me thinks that it probably messed me up in some ways and made me way better in others. you know,
Yeah,
so did
it's
that.
funny. I know a lot of guys when they get out. I have a lot of friends that were screw ups and they go in the service and most of them straighten out. I know some a-holes that go in, they come out, they're just more focused a-holes. But I know a lot of people when they get out, they really miss it. I mean, they miss the structure. One day you're a sergeant telling people what to do, and the next day you're just some guy on the street. And a lot of them, like my brother, for instance, it took him several years to kind of adjust to being just a normal guy.
Yeah, I think a lot of that has to do with how long you were in and how many deployments you did. I mean, there's guys I was in with that retired as sergeant majors of special operations units, and other guys that just did like 20 plus years in the military in some form or fashion. That's a lot. That really is. But it was. I mean, I had a home life. I could have gone to college. I knew I wasn't ready to do any more school. I had taken college classes in high school. I was a little bit ahead, and I was just like, man, I can't do any more of this school shit. It was just, it was something I wanted to do. It was something that was going to allow me the opportunity to go and still have a roof over my head and experience some things. And just live a dream. I mean, you grew up watching G.I. Joe and back in the 80s movies and stuff, and you wanted to go do that stuff. So it was just a great opportunity to go do it. But getting out, I was already structured like that. So I used to get up and run a few miles before school, and then I would work out after school, and then I would go to my job. So I've always led a very regimented, structured life. And it was funny when I got out of the military, I actually turned that around. I'm like, I ain't making my fucking bed. I ain't going to do this. I was like, nah, I'm never doing this. And then you fall right back into that regimen at some point in your life, though. You realize like you should probably make your bed in the morning again, right? Because you want that structure, right?
Yeah. Plus, you don't want to be single forever, and that's a good way to scare off ladies.
True. It's a very good way to scare off ladies. Yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of scary. All right.
Your house smells like the sock bin.
Yeah. Let's see. We have PP in the chat. That's a funny name. Misty, Jeff Coleman. Again, if you're not a subscriber to Tactical Considerations, you have to subscribe to his channel. He'd greatly appreciate it. If you're not a subscriber to mine, subscribe. I'd greatly appreciate it also. So what are you doing now? You just kind of doing the YouTube thing?
No. So I've had a couple of businesses actually. The YouTube thing, people always ask like, how did you fall in that? I'm like, well, it was a dare. It was actually a dare. It's kind of like a whim thing. Somebody's like, well, you do this and kind of like I dare you kind of thing. And I ended up doing it. And I was like, well, this would be pretty cool. I mean, if all these guys can do it, surely I can do it. It can't be that hard. And you find out how difficult it is, right?
Bro.
So I was in law enforcement for 16 years after I got out of the military. I have the YouTube thing. I've had other businesses as well. So that's kind of what's kept me going and doing all that stuff. So I've got a little bit left to go. I'm leaving law enforcement early. I'm not going to be sticking around for 20 probably. So I'll be moving on to other things probably in the next 24 months or something like that, maybe.
Oh man. Texas, man. Texas. You can go up to hill country in Texas. That's a great place to live.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your YouTube channel because I think it's fantastic. And, just your first video was an introductory video. And you could tell by the tone of your voice. How many times did you tape that before you posted it? Was that a one take?
Oh, man. I balled that piece of shit up and just sent it like a bad mortar round, dude. I didn't have I was just like
how nervous you were when you made that video.
Yeah, I was like, I'm just going to talk about this shit and subscribe to my. It was terrible, dude.
No, it was great.
It was like a ball of crap jumbled up and thrown onto YouTube to see if anybody would pay attention to it.
No, I think it was great because you did a good intro video, and then you did a video on what you're going to talk about, and then you talked about in your next couple of videos. But you can see the progression. 4 years ago, 3 years ago, 2 years ago, and your audio got a little bit better, your lighting got a little bit better, then your editing got really good, and then now that's last year, your video is ridiculous. Your thumbnails have crushed it consistently this last year and a half. I pay attention to a lot of like thumbnails. Like, should I should I click that video? Why? Like, you can have a great channel. If your thumbnails are crap, no one's ever going to click it.
Absolutely. Mr. Beast, man. If you see
Mr.
Mr.
Beast,
Beast do something, just do it. Right.
just do it.
Yeah.
And I reinvest everything into the channel. Anything I get on YouTube, I
Yeah.
reinvest it. I don't try and make money. Not yet. Not yet. And I'm just having a great time. But I do the Mr. Beast philosophy. If you just try and make the best video you can make today, everything else will fall in. Subscribers will fall in. Monetization, all that stuff will fall in. Just keep trying to do the best video you can do at the time.
Yeah. And then you also have to remember the Casey Neistat end of it is just get the fucking shot. You're not going to get it perfect, but if you miss it completely,
his online course. I just took his online course.
Oh, Neistat's?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't even know he had one.
Yeah, he did an online course. It was cool. It was
Okay.
like, it was kind of behind the scenes on how he puts a video together. Very interesting.
And it's one of the things that a friend of mine who was like legit like studied how to make movies and all that stuff that's what he did. Literally told me, he's like, you need to figure out a way to tell a story in 5 minutes. And me, I'm like knuckle dragging rock ape. I'm not artistic at all. I couldn't fucking draw or paint to save my life. But you kind of think like, okay, what do I want to know? And what I kind of, started to pay attention to was like bigger YouTubers that are outside of the community, the 2A community, how they can tell a story and suck you right in like 5 minutes.
100%.
And I think the company that really capitalized on that was, if you watch the Walther PDP release video, I think Clandestine Media did that. It was one of those high-end media companies, either Tat Gas or Clandestine or something, one of those companies, both of which are run by like ex-SOCOM guys.
Yeah.
And that it told a story and it sucked you right in. And there was a beginning, middle, end, like Casey Neistat says, beginning, middle, end, right? But it had everything. It had like building the character, it had action, it had all these things, and then a dramatic event, and then a closing of it all. And I sat there and I watched that, and I was like, wow, somebody came up with a really good storyline, and somebody paid a shitload of money for that.
Yeah, that's why I think Coleon Noir was the very first guy to kind of give a shit about editing. And his videos looked great when he first started doing reviews. I mean, he stammered and stuttered a lot, but he edited most of that out, and then it was really well filmed. But I've been watching Casey forever, and I'm sure you've seen the one where he did the Lufthansa flight, where he did the most expensive flight in the world. Such a good video, but it was so well put together. And then he also had one with Mr. Beast on, where he interviewed Mr. Beast a few months ago.
Oh, I do. I literally, the only YouTube channels I watch are Johnny B's Spicy Friday. I can't miss him. I love it. Right. I watch his on Fridays, and then I watch a shitload of Tim Pool.
Oh, Tim Pool's fantastic.
Yeah. Other than that, I consume like negative content. I consume no content.
Now, Tim Pool is someone I've been following for years, IRL, all of it. And heck, I'm even watching his stupid chicken one he's doing now.
Chicken City?
Chicken City.
I haven't watched it, man. I can't.
So dumb. So anyway, I've been watching. The only thing that Tim Pool does that kind of pisses me off is he goes, on principle, I just wouldn't do it. These people that have kids, they said, they can't take them out of school. It's too hard on them. Just do it. Just take it out of school. He'll sacrifice. He's such a bullshit liar because he doesn't have kids. Case in point, he was supposed to speak at some college, and they said, you can't show up. There's a death threat against your life. And he goes, well, I didn't show up because, there's lots of kids there and I didn't want to put them in danger. Well, no shit. Same principle. Other than that, I agree with 99% of what he says.
Yeah. Well, I don't have kids, so I don't have a dog in that fight. But everyone I know, I donate so their kids can go to private schools or get homeschooled.
Yeah. Well, my wife's Filipino, so we support a good chunk of schools in the Philippines.
Yeah. A lot of my family was in the education system, and most of them have left or are thinking about it because it's gotten weird, man. It's gotten really weird, and that's a whole ball of wax that really pisses people off when you talk about it because it deals with their children. But yeah, I've always donated to my friends so they could send their kids to some form of either private school or homeschool them through one of those programs, just because. I mean, at one point, public education was probably a really great idea for the betterment of the country.
Right.
But at this point, you're literally sending your kid off to a government camp for 8 hours a day, and you don't really know what's going on there. It's
So
kind of weird.
we've always been hyper involved with our kids. And so I have a
Yeah.
21-year-old. She turns 21 on Sunday. Oh my God. And I have a 9-year-old son and a 7-year-old daughter. We live a few blocks away from the grade school, and we vetted this school. They're so patriotic. They did a Memorial Day program. Man, I felt like crying. It was so patriotic. There's flags. They say the Pledge of Allegiance all the time. It's very, very, very pro-America school. No blue-haired nut jobs. The teachers are fantastic. And man, it's great. It's great. High school, I don't know. But right now where our kids are at is fantastic. And, I always ask for a curriculum. And so
Yeah.
far, all the teachers, I mean, it's rock solid. But if it ever gets to a point, I'll definitely homeschool.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that's regional. I mean, when I look back at some of my teachers, I mean, they were formative. I mean, they were amazing people. They provided you information and taught you to seek out truth and all of these things you would expect, right? That would be taught. And I still, if I ran into certain ones of them today, would just love to sit down with them and talk, right? And just have that conversation about life and how it turned out, or how whatever they did to help me at certain points in time, because I was not always a good kid, especially in high school. But it's just gotten weird. I mean, some of the stuff that my friends that have kids that are, I think the oldest one's actually, they're out of high school now. Some of them started super young, but the ones that still have kids in like grade schools or into high schools right now, they're having serious struggles. Even out here in Arizona, some of the stuff that they're filling their heads with is just crazy, man. I mean, it's just like,
Yeah.
no free speech. You can't have this, and just all this weird stuff. And I'm like, man,
That
this is
libs of TikTok brought so much of that to light.
right.
Like,
Yeah.
I had no idea it was that bad. Like, I knew it
Yeah.
was bad, but holy
I'm
smoke.
definitely, now that I know how much it costs, I'm definitely getting a billboard in Times Square.
Wouldn't that be sweet?
Yeah. It's only like a few $100, dude,
Oh,
for like one day.
I think
Yeah, for like a day.
is it $300 a day?
It's like, if you can get X amount of runs for like $500-600 or something, I'll put something stupid up there.
Oh man, that is pretty funny. That is pretty funny. Let's see. Let's check
Yeah.
the chat. We have Explicit, my buddy Jeff, Taylor, Shooting Gallery New England, longtime subscriber of yours. My buddy Randy, also a longtime subscriber. Nice. Arrow, Fluffy, nice. Bill Smith, Gort. Again, if you guys are not a subscriber, I'll put a link again. Please subscribe to his channel. He'd greatly appreciate it. So, what is the ammo situation like? Because I started my channel just chasing ammo, and I never really,
I saw that. I watched that.
I never really struggled. And I was monetized in like 2 weeks. Had all the subscribers, and then I thought, oh, this is going to be easy. No, it is really hard. YouTube is really freaking hard. I was delusional because I had my first 3 months was super easy. I was like, oh, this YouTube stuff is easy. But when I try to venture out and not be just a one-trick pony and actually take it serious and do like gun reviews, it gets expensive, very expensive, and ammo especially. So in Arizona, what is the situation like? Is it bare shelves?
It's okay. To be quite honest, I don't frequent the stores looking for ammo because I've played this game before, from the Bill Clinton ban to Bush to Obama to Trump. So I know when the writing's on the wall. So I am that dude, right, that has 20,000 rounds of main calibers sitting around the house. And I know I cycle it down just like your grandma and grandpa would the old can of peaches. You move it forward, so you use the old stuff, right? And I've lived like that for probably the past 10 or 15 years. So I used to reload a lot. I had 2 big Dillon machines, and I just don't have the time for it anymore.
It takes a lot of time.
Yeah, and it just wasn't. I mean, for the amount of money, when you average it out, you talk about time and the time value of money, and you do your little calculation on it. If you've ever been to business school, you figure out that you're basically losing money by making your own ammo.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I would love to do it, but time is money, and I barely have enough time to do my own channel, watch anybody else's. I have 2 kids. It's tough. It's tough.
Then you got to research all the new camera gear you want to buy and the lights you want to buy.
No, I'm going old school. I'm going back to just using my cell phone for a minute because I've gone through 3 lenses this year. And the first lens was $400. My tripod fell over and it smashed. And I was like, well, okay. Then I got this really cool one. Same thing. I was trying to get this really cool shot and it fell off one of those gun barrels at the gun ranges. It was on a tripod, smashed that lens up and broke one camera body. So I'm just done. I'm just going back to cell phones for a minute. I can't afford it.
GoPros, dude. Start buying GoPros. Just use those.
Yeah, well, man, my phone takes really good video. It's kind of surprising. So let's do
drop and break that, then you're out of phone and a camera.
Nah, I've dropped it a bunch. It just bounces, man. Samsung makes a very reliable phone. So let's do an EDC check. Everybody in the chat, post what your EDC is. And Mike, what is your EDC nowadays?
Right now, it's changed a little bit, but right now I'm actually carrying the Hellcat Pro. Because I wanted to get some more time in with it.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, in your comparison video between the 43X and the Hellcat Pro, you said you might start carrying it, but a lot of YouTubers say it and they don't do it. So you've really been carrying it.
It's sitting right. If I could show it, because we can't show it on YouTube anymore, right? While you do live streaming, you can't handle.
Tell that to the sticky holster guy, dude. He was whipping out guns right and left, and they were.
No. Well, you either get demonetized or they could mess with your channel. But yeah, literally right here, I have a multi-cam black holster. That Hellcat Pro is sitting in it right now.
I love it, man. I really like that pistol.
People love to hate on Springfield because of the reason we all know, right? Fine.
They apologized.
Yeah. Hate them all you want. That, and this makes people angry. That gun effectively competes from everything from a 365, 43X, 48 MOS up to a Glock 19.
Amen to that.
And you may not like Springfield, but who really makes the gun? HS product, right? Same thing as the Hellion. And it's the Hellion. It's got some different things on it, but it's actually made by HS product at the request of Springfield, and they make designs of them, right? So, or changes because the VHS2 is already out. It's a good gun. I've dealt with politics most of my life, in and out of the service, in and out of the things I've done where I've worked. So I don't deal with that on the channel. If I think a gun's cool, I think a gun's cool. I will use it. And to all those people that are like, Springfield. Well, do you feel the same way about Russian AKs? No, because you would love to have a Vapor, wouldn't you?
Yes, I would.
So would I. Don't like where it came from. Doesn't mean I won't like the gun. Same thing as the Canic. People are like, it's made in Turkey and whatever. And I'm like, well, I'm not into that. I'm like, I don't want to deal with politics when I'm trying to have fun and relax and do what I want with YouTube. And Canics are amazing guns. I've got the Rival in the safe right over here. That thing is balling. That gun is. You get a
lot for your money with the Canic, man. You just can't go wrong.
No, that new Rival Dark is sick.
All right, so let's check the chat. Let's see what they're carrying. Carolina EDC 365. Now the Hellcat Pro. Oh, I go between the XDM Elite and the Hellcat Pro.
Yeah, I wanted to love the 365, but because I didn't like SIG always, I bought a couple of their X Series guns, and they turned me on. Right, I dug them right away. Just felt good. That 365, the trigger guard, it kind of slopes so slowly that I find my finger getting stuck on it and just riding it down to where my finger ends up behind the trigger because it's too short and it's too shallow for my finger to get into right here. So as I try to work my finger out and get into it, I catch the trigger guard and my finger kind of jams over and I catch the side of the trigger all the time.
Oh man! All right, let's see who else. Jeff is carrying a Max 9. Palumbo 365 XL. Nice. Nutty G3C 15. You know what? Say what you want about Taurus. They go bang every time. And they are, we shoot a lot of cool stuff. I mean, I've seen your video. You shoot tons of cool stuff. And then a lot of people don't have that kind of money. Some people just want one gun to just keep in their drawer. I bet some people are like, why do you need more than one? I mean, I like guns, but they just I just need one.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with just having one or 100. Who cares?
Sneak is carrying an X5 Legion. What? That is a
That's a lot to stick down your pants.
Oh man, that's actually, I just lost that gun to my wife. I had a 320
Monster.
and
Monster gun.
she shot the 320 and she's like, it's nice. And then she shot the Legion. She's like, it's mine now. Okay, what do you want to do with the 320? She goes, I don't want it. The Legion's mine now. I'm like, yes, babe, whatever you want. Misty shooting the 365 XL. Look at this 365. It's really popular. Shield Plus, Security 9, XL, MC1 SC. What is that?
Mossberg MC1.
Oh,
that's the subcompact version. That's another one. That's a good gun that I didn't even know about that. Had no idea. I knew Mossberg had made a pistol, didn't know what it was, and I got some of them for the channel. It's like the Taurus. I was like, wow, these are surprisingly pretty damn good.
So Fluffy has a comment. I didn't like my Hellcat. See, I didn't like the original Hellcat, but the Hellcat Pro, I can fit my whole hand on it, and my pinky doesn't dangle, or it's not in that weird groove where the mag is. Yeah. And I don't know if you were like that, but the Hellcat original is The Hellcat Pro, I love, man. I really like it.
The Hellcat, the original Hellcat, it's small. It's a micro. It's not meant for double XL sized hands, right? It's usable. You just have to remember. I mean, you're shooting a micro compact pistol, and it's going to feel like a micro compact pistol.
Look at Misty. On Sundays, my EDC is a staccato C. Come on, okay, all right.
Just on Sundays.
Just on Sundays. Do you have a staccato?
I don't own one. No, I don't personally have one, but I've played a bunch of them.
I was at a CCW safe event last weekend, and this guy had a staccato XL, 8,000 rounds already through it. So it was amazingly buttery smooth, and it was like silk, man. It felt like a 22. Oh my God. And
yeah.
it makes you a better shot. It's so good.
Yeah.
It's on my list. I want one so bad.
It's a gun that'll hide your deficiencies. It's so good.
Right? 100%.
The Para 45.
All right. Still my Gen 3 G19. Shooting gallery, you're so old school, bro.
I know, right?
You work at a gun shop, man. You should have the latest and greatest.
The 80s called. They want their gun back.
That is so funny. I'm going to use that one. Let's see. All right. So let's talk about guns. You've done a bunch of reviews, and we already talked about the Hellcat Pro, and you did a Glock 43X comparison.
So I compared the Hellcat Pro to the 43X, and that was just kind of like the start of the series. So I try to compare and contrast all those guns because, I've kind of been on both ends of the spectrum financially. I've been to where I didn't know where my next meal was coming from, couldn't pay the rent.
Amen to that.
Been to the point where I had power boats and motorcycles and 4 cars and everything in between, right?
Can't relate to that yet. Not yet.
Yeah, I've been smart with money, done with money, and I've been to the point where all I could afford at one point was a $270 used Smith & Wesson Sigma. Let that sink in for a minute. Or not the Sigma, is actually the first generation of the SD series after the Sigma debacle. So, thinking about that, remembering that, I try not to crap on any one gun. Like, there are things I will avoid, but I try to look at the stuff like Taurus, some of the cheaper stuff where I'm like, hey, if I had $253 like I paid for that Taurus G3 or G3C, I think it was $253 and like $264 or $270 or something like that. So I walked out of the gun store with $550 for both of them. Like, would I, and that's the thing, like, imagine being in that price spectrum and needing to find something that's reliable that you can trust. The one thing I will say about those, you need to clean those things and lube them like 5 times before you ever go to the range because they are dirty out the box.
Yeah, a little bit.
I try to compare them all, test them all, and then, put them side by side in a video so people can kind of get an idea of what the size is, what it looks like. How thick they are, how chunky they are. Is this going to be something I'm going to carry in a purse? Is this going to be something I'm going to carry in Thunderwear? You know what Thunderwear are?
I remember those.
Underwear with a holster, baby.
That you pulled it out.
Are you happy to see me? Hell yeah, I am.
I compared the Hellcat Pro to the 48. My buddy had a 48, and he goes, you got to compare these two. And actually, I don't like Glocks, but that 48 really grew on me. He had a nice hollow sun on it, which I'm a huge fan of hollow sun. And those two guns really just were, that was a hard comparison. But I'm a little biased. I still went with the Hellcat, but it was close.
Yeah.
It was
so
close.
I carried that 43X MOS with the shield arms mags. So that was the deal for me, the shield arms mags, because it gives me the capacity of a 19 with the size of a 43, right? Or 43X. Right. So I carried that a lot, and I enjoyed it because Glock doesn't have the greatest angles. They have probably one of the world's worst triggers in today's market, but it's reliable, it's durable. And with those shield arms mags, I got something I could effectively use and conceal and control the recoil impulse because it had just big enough of a grip that it was a really great all-around carry. One of the, and even though I'm not a huge Glock guy, one of the best all-around carries that there is with the shield arms mags. Without it, I'd say no.
Yeah, so the only reason I never really got into Glocks is because when I first started shooting, everyone's like, "You got to buy Glock," and if you tell me what to do, I'm gonna do the exact opposite. So like, "Oh, you got to buy Glocks; it's the best in the world. It's the best in the world." So I grabbed one, and it was kind of blocky. I'm like, "This feels blocky," and then I grabbed an XDM. I'm like, "Oh man, this," or it was an XD at the time. I was like, "This XD feels way better in my hand." And I shot both of them, and I was like, "Oh, I'm an XD guy."
Plus, it tells you where to grab it right on the grip.
Yeah, it says grip zone. Yeah, I always thought that was hilarious.
Well, and it's funny because it's like most other cops. When you first become a cop, they issue you a Glock. Right. So I quickly turned around and asked, "Can I carry whatever I want?" Eventually, that got approved, and I was like, "Cool, I'll carry my 1911. Thank you very much. Here's your Glock."
Yeah, you carried a 1911?
Yeah, I carried a Kimber TAC entry too most of my career.
I am a 1911 fanatic. I love them to death. There's something about the history. When you pick it up, it feels so good in the hand. I just love them. 10 mil, 9, 45. I love every version of that gun. Soon to have a staccato. Knock on wood.
Yeah, it's an amazing platform that people are still trying to make better today, right? I mean,
yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. So you reviewed the Strybog, right?
The Strybog, yeah.
And you've reviewed. Have you ever reviewed an MPX?
No, I've not had one long enough to review, but it's cool.
You shot it, right?
Yeah.
Where do you put the Strybog or Strybog or however you say it? Where do you put that on the level of PCCs?
So I dig it. I like it. I think it's cool. People, depending on who you ask, it's kind of like a Ducati. You either get the best motorcycle of your life or the worst. Some people have had a lot of problems with them. I've had a great experience with it, but I've got the A3 version, and I had the curved mags when it got sent into me. So I was able to test one that had all of the good stuff that had been kind of ironed out, I guess you could say, on it. I dig the thing. If I wanted to buy a dedicated PCC, if I was on a budget, it might be my first choice. If I had money I didn't know what to do with, SIG might be my first choice, or HK. But I don't know if I would really want that thing as like a dedicated gun for me, right? And I don't know if I'd want really any PCC as a dedicated like work gun for me.
Yeah. So I have a SIG MPX, and it's a great gun. It's very light recoil. It's fantastic. I love it a lot. I shot a Strybog, and it's good. There's a huge price difference. The MPX will run you at $1,900 on a sale. And I got to tell you, I got that AKV from PSA, that 9mm AK.
Yeah, I've got one.
It smokes both of them, man. I love that thing.
I made
the mistake of buying 7 mags for it, and I loaded them all up. And I went to the range, and I burned through all those mags in about 10 minutes. I was like, "Damn, that was like $200."
Yeah, the mags were only like $18 or something. Or
it's such a good deal, man.
Yeah.
And it's reliable. MPX, I've had issues with, man. I've had failure to feeds. I have a buddy that has an MPX failure to feeds. Like 1 out of 150 shots will stovepipe, maybe.
I've kind of got a sordid history with SIG, man. So I've tried so many different SIGs before, right? Because SIG was supposed to be great, right? I've tried the 220s, the 226s. I've tried a couple of them. I've had experience with some of the SIG rifles before, and the thing that always just rang true to me was SIG made a great $500 gun for $800. You know,
now that's funny.
it's not that they were bad; it's just that they were expensive. You know, I mean, that 220 that I bought in like 2008 or something was like granted it was like a nicer model. It wasn't the Equinox, but it was like the 220 tactical something. It was like $900 or something, and I'm like, I bought it, and then I realized I'm like, oh, cool, I got a single stack 45. Like, what the? And then I traded it in on something else. I think I traded that in for a 1911.
They're good, but they're just not fantastic.
Yeah, they're good guns. Where I would say that they kind of did do it right was I tried the original 320 and I hated it. The grip module on the standard 320 and the trigger, I was just like, meh. And then walked into a local store, and I can't remember what I was looking for. And I was like, what are those? And it was the SIG RXPX carries and the RXPX full. But they were like a law enforcement edition. So they came with the bigger mags, and they came with the optic and the housing, because you breathe wrong on that SIG Romeo 1 Pro, it breaks. So
not a fan
I
of that.
picked it up and I kind of held it and pressed it out. And I was like, oh shit, that feels pretty good. So I walked out the door with it and I shot it, and there was no denying that my performance with that SIG was vastly better than other pistols. Not with no experience with it, just taking it out on the range. I could slap the trigger. I could not pay attention to the sights. I could work the shit out of that gun, over squeeze the grip, under squeeze the grip, and I was still shooting better than other pistols. So there's something to be said for that gun.
The Legion is the same way with me. I mean, the weight of it feels good. And I took it to the range. I'm finishing a review on it, but I needed some B-roll. And I'm like, oh, I'm just going to shoot it for a little bit. I ended up shooting it for like 2 hours. I spent my whole day shooting that gun, hitting steel, just because it's really a fun gun to shoot, and it's easy to shoot. It makes it easy. But you're right, that I changed it to a hollow sun.
Yeah.
Because that Romeo 1, SIG should just not make sights. They're horrible. All of them.
They did just get that scope contract though, and the machine gun contract, and the pistol contract, and they're going to get the heavy gun contract too. So they're killing it, man.
Those sights are trash. I don't like.
I'm not a fan of the pistol red dot. Some of their other stuff has proven to be pretty good, but the
Romeo 5
is fragile. Yeah.
I've had Romeo 5s go down on me like mid magazine. They'll just shut off.
Really?
I sent 3 of them back.
Okay.
What else? I had another one. The cheaper Romeo 5. It's not a Romeo 5. It's a.
I know the one you're talking about. Like, the $99 one.
Yeah.
They always sell it in the magnifier combo, and it's like $299 or something.
Yeah. That one died, and same thing with Springfield Armory. I love Springfield Armory, but those Hex Wasp sights are not that great, and the Hex Dragonfly not that.
Yeah. Great. So they must have changed LEDs in it now, because the newer versions, I've seen a few of them, and the LED emitter is much, much better. So you don't have that like refresh, like that blurring, like the slow laser. Where if you move around, you see just dots because it's not a constant flow, right? The emitter, if it's too slow or the pulse is too slow or whatever, you'll get, like, if you're moving it, you'll get that like dot, 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 dot. So the new ones on them are much better LEDs. And that's happened with tons of different optics companies that try to come out with pistol optics. I don't know what emitter they go with, the LED, the power, what it is that does it, but they'll have like a weird refresh rate on that LED. So the new ones are better, but still they've had some struggle bus issues.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk about FN next, but let's check the chat, see who's in the chat. Of course, we have Shooting Gallery, Night Custom Builds. What's going on, buddy? Let's see. Philip, Patriots. Let's see. Nutty. Cali Veteran, 2A light. Oh man, Cali Veteran. That's crazy. Get out of Cali. You'll love your life better. And then Jeff, If you guys are not a subscriber to Tactical Considerations, please subscribe. He'd greatly appreciate it. If you're not a subscriber of mine, subscribe to me. I would greatly appreciate it. So the 509 Tactical, you did a review. I thought it was a great review. But were you being honest about the trigger? Because that when I shot it, that was the worst, grittiest, shittiest trigger. And I've shot 3 of them.
I have an Apex in mind.
Oh, okay. Did you shoot the stock trigger?
Oh yeah, it's sweaty dog shit.
Yeah. So my buddy bought one, and I'm not gonna say his name, Mike, and he bought one, and it was great, man. And I got
the trigger was.
No, the trigger was horrible. The gun itself looked great. Everything looked great. But as soon as you pull that trigger back, it's just how the gun is made. That trigger is so gritty.
Yeah.
And he reached out to FN. He goes, that's just how the trigger is. I was like, ah.
Yeah. So once you get about 3,500 rounds through it, it feels a lot better. And there is some polishing and deburring and some things you can do to it. But I apexed mine after the first couple of range trips.
Oh, okay.
Like I bought mine used from another ex-Army guy who had worked it pretty good, and he had 2 of them. So I bought his gray one because I had never seen one in gray before in person. And I took it to the range. I can't even remember how many rounds I got through it. And I'm like, yeah, that's getting a trigger. I mean, it's not the worst trigger out there, but it is not good. Like the stock FN 509 trigger is not good.
I was so
the newer ones on the edge
gun. That gun's not cheap.
No, it's $900 right now or something.
$900, and then Tim Kennedy has like his really cool version for way more than that.
Yeah, he can keep it.
That trigger is trash. I was so bummed out. So you also got a gun sent to you by Springfield Armory, the XDM Elite full size, and you said, I don't know if I'm going to send it back. I got to know. Did you end up sending it back, or did you keep it and just buy it?
It's right here.
Yeah,
it's a monster.
Yeah,
everyone I hand that to loves it because it's a Goliath it's huge.
Yeah,
it's huge. It's accurate as all hell. I've never had a single problem with that thing, and it just runs like a beast, dude. It gives you everything you want in a gun. You've got optic height sights, you've got a threaded barrel, you've got interchangeable mag wells, back straps, just everything you want. Again, I think people, they swamp on it because some people just, they get angry when they hear the name Springfield. But I'll tell you right now, that gun is awesome. There was a bunch of guys that when I was working with at the time actually were like, hey, is there a duty holster for that? Because they wanted to carry them. And unfortunately, Farland doesn't make one for it. At least that I know of right now. But that thing's a monster. I will say I got the 3.8 version of it, though. Just not quite as good. It's too much. It's not enough in the grip. But you can get the same one with that short 3.8 barrel and the 22 round size grip, which is, it looks a little weird, but at least you have all the grip there. Whereas that 3.8 with the compact grip on it just didn't fit me. It's one of those things where it would be great for people with like medium sized hands. But the full size one, beast. It's a monster.
Yeah. That's my carry gun is the XDM Elite 3.8, but I had to take off the extended mag well because it was right in the middle of my pinky and I couldn't. I hated it. So as soon as I took that off,
grip were a half-inch longer, they would have just knocked it out of the park on that compact version.
It just fits my hand, fits it just right. But I had to take off that the magwell deal because I hated it.
Yeah, this much longer, that magwell would have been perfect.
Right. So let me ask you another question. What gun have you bought, purchased, rented, borrowed that you were so excited to shoot? It turned out to be just the biggest piece of shit disappointment. You're like, get it away from me.
The HK VP9.
Really?
I found one in gray, and I was like, "Oh hell yes!"
You're all about the gray.
I did. I touched it. It was like warm apple pie from American Pie. It was good in the hand, right? Like I still tell everybody that is in the hand probably the best ergonomically feeling pistol you will ever touch. Just the way that it molds into your hand was perfect. I got that thing out on the range and I was just like, well, I just wasted $650 because I found it on sale too. And I got it in gray, which was like double score. And it has sat in that safe ever since. And haven't sold it yet.
Oh man.
It's
On the opposite end.
The trigger is not great. The sights are not great.
Did you review it?
Oh yeah.
I gotta look for that one. Did you tear it
No.
up in the review?
No. I mean, it's because those are all very like, it's me. Like, it's I try not to like shit on things. I realize when it's me. I realize when I need to say, well, it's not my thing, but it may be somebody else's. The paddle mag release thing wasn't my thing, and I can run the piss out of the gun, and it feels amazing. But on the range, it just left me wanting.
You know, I had that same conversation with Such because I asked him at the IV88 event. I was like, "Hey, man, people give you a lot of grief because you never come down on anything. You're always super positive on your reviews." He goes, "Hey, it's like cars. It's like a pair of pants. It might not fit me, but it's great for someone else. So I'm not going to diss something for somebody else. Like for me, it was this Keltec Sub 2000. I've always wanted one of those, the collapsible. Shut up. But I've always wanted one. And I had the chance to buy one. And I was like, all right, you know what? Let me get it. I've always wanted it. You know, I'm an ex-Californian. Shit like that. You just were so taboo. Yeah. So I got it. I took it to the range, and I just hated it, man. I could not stand it. And I paid a lot. I paid a premium for it. And I just
and you're going to find that with just about anything. But I think I even said in the video I might have just overhyped that VP9 in my head because I had heard so much. You think H&K, right? You think HK is going to be everything that HK is meant to be. But let's just face it. HK been living off that embassy hit the SAS did for like 50 years now. Get over it. The MP5's gone. Nobody's carrying it anymore. They need to do some other things, right?
Right.
But some of those things are still just awesome. You can't not pick up an MP5 when you see it. Anytime you see an HK, you kind of want to touch it because it's HK, right?
Right.
But when I shot it and fired it, I was like, God, it feels so good. It feels so good in the hand. I wanted it to be better on the range, and it just wasn't. And it's a nightmare to work on. It's an absolute nightmare to take fully apart. I mean, I'm just talking like take everything apart and work on.
Oh wow.
It's like taking apart a Volkswagen engine, man. It's a mess in there.
So Misty had a question. She goes, have you seen the shadow systems in gray?
Yes. That's all I can say.
Oh, is this something that might be coming out?
So there are going to be, my understanding is there's going to be gray ones. There's going to be OD green ones. They already have the flat dark earth, and the same thing with PDP is coming out in gray.
I do like gray. Like when Magpul released their gray furniture, I changed 2 of my ARs because I was like, that looks pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Yep. It does look pretty sweet. Let's see. Too many choices. HK and Surefire are the Gucci of guns. You're paying more for the name. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
All right. So on the opposite end of that, has there ever been a gun that you weren't too thrilled about that just blew you away? You're like, wow, this is actually a great gun.
That would be the SIG, the 320X carry, RXP-X carry. So there's a couple different versions of that. Like I said, I was not looking for a SIG that day. I was going in there for something. I was going there for a part. Saw that, touched it, was like, this is pretty cool, but I don't like SIG. Took it home, took it to the range, and my socks were blown. I mean, it was good. And I immediately had to pull back from the SIG makes a great $500 gun for $800, even though it is a little bit pricier. But when you take into account, put aside my own personal bias from previous experience, right? The modularity of the fire control unit of SIG lets you carry anything up into a compact to a full-size extended monster, right? And everything in between based on their grip module system. And the X series of grips are flat out awesome. The regular grips, I think, they feel terrible to me.
The modularity is nuts with SIGs now, man. It's crazy because if you don't like it, and they're not expensive. I think Wilson Combat makes a pretty good grip, and I think it's like $40.
Yeah, no, it's great. Yeah,
crazy. And then you can get the lead weights, and you could actually weigh your grips down, so there's a little bit more weight in the back end, and those aren't too expensive. So the modularity of the SIGs kind of blow me away. For me, it was the Taurus TX22 competition. I was like,
oh yeah, that's great. That thing's awesome.
So much fun. It is a
one right here. Yeah.
It's so much. I want to get another one.
Yeah, it's if you get the right ammo, it's amazing. If you get the wrong ammo, it sucks.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And this is also something that a lot of people they get angry or they get bad opinions for. If you're buying a gun, right, and you're buying Joe Bob's reloaded ammo, and you're taking that gun out to the range, having never inspected, never cleaned, lubricated, or done anything to that gun, and expecting to have a great experience, it might not work out that way.
Right.
It's like you said with the Taurus guns or some of those other cheaper handguns where in all of the Tauruses that I've bought or I've asked, like, hey, can you send me a loan, or I want to test it? I don't have the money to buy 3 more of your guns. I've had 2 failure to feeds, and when I put those in the videos, you can clearly see me jacking up the magazine exchange to the point where it sends the round a little forward almost.
Yeah.
And then it barely doesn't go in and it do that. But those are the only things that I've had go wrong. And when I've had people get a hold of me, like, I'm having this issue, or this issue, I'm like, well, have you cleaned all of the 90 weight gear oil off your extractor that comes on? Oh no, I've never cleaned it. I'm like, okay, I have a cleaning tutorial. Go check it out and then take your gun to the range. And they're like, holy crap, it's like a whole new gun. I'm like, well, yeah, because it literally feels like they threw that thing in the sandbox in pieces, didn't even blow it off, then put it together, put it in a box, and sent it to you. That's kind of what it feels like. And I'm not knocking on Taurus for that. It's a $250 gun. You're not going to get huge quality control or, precision cleaning after the machining or coating, right? So you need to clean them off and inspect them and lubricate them and then use good ammunition, and you'll probably find you'll have a better experience. I think a lot of people kind of bypass that step, and then they get angry and they crap all over a brand. Something like that. So
yeah, that TX22 competition blew me away. I love how the sight's mounted right to the barrel. My follow-up shots, there's no recoil. I wonder if they could do a 9mm with that same concept, if it would work. I think it's
absolutely. Yeah, you could absolutely do that.
I think it'd be really neat, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, that gun, I was like, and I shot it. I was like, wow, this is a lot of fun. And again, I threw a hollow sun on it. It's probably worth more than the gun. Same price as the gun.
Yeah.
And it's just the best. It's the best.
Yeah, no, those things are sweet. It was funny, the store that I had to do all my FFL transfers through, the guy that was working in there was like, oh, I would never buy a Taurus and do this. And I picked one of those up, and he's like, oh, that's the best trainer I've ever had. I've never had an issue with it. I'm like, didn't you just tell me you would never buy a Taurus? He's like, well, that one's different. So you kind of see what's in people's minds when they're talking about that stuff,
Yeah, as long as I stay away from Winchester ammo. But any federal CCI runs like cake. Perfect.
Like, you're talking like Winchester brass or the Winchester steel stuff?
That Winchester 22.
Oh, okay.
Winchester 22 ammo, just none of it.
I'm trying to remember what I ran through that TX22, but I think it was the Winchester. Isn't that the Super X or something?
Yeah, they have Super X.
Okay, so a bunch of that and some other stuffs, and I had some problems. And then when I started putting some of the nicer ammo through it, that's when that gun just opened up and showed you who she was, man. It was cool.
Yeah, years ago, I bought a whole bunch of Gemtech. Do you remember Gemtech? It came in the orange box. I don't even know if they still make it, but I was running some of that Gemtech through the subsonic, and it was pretty quiet, man. It's fun. It's a fun gun. It's an absolute fun gun. So I know we're kind of winding down. We're getting to about an hour. So I want to know your Mount Rushmore of Guntubers that have influenced your channel. So if you picked your Mount Rushmore of Guntubers that have influenced your channel or influenced you as a maker, who are they?
I never watched Guntubers before. Before I started doing YouTube, I never watched Guntubers.
Yeah, me either.
Because I always, my friends were armorers or owned gun shops or all that, so I never had to do that. Like, if the guy that lives like a mile that way builds like some amazing custom 1911s, so I never had to do that. So, all
right, what about now? Just who are your top 4 now that you're like? For me, it's like I only watch a few. If I see it pop up on my feed, I will stop and watch. So who are, like, if you're just driving home, they pop up on your feed, and you're like, man, let me just watch this real quick or listen to this.
I feel so bad because I watch almost nobody's content. So I think a lot of the experience that I got from YouTube was from watching non gun people. So it was like the Casey Neistats, the Peter McKinnons,
I love
DSLR
Peter
video
McKinnon.
shooter. Yeah, DSLR video shooter is a great one. Brian G. Johnson, all of those guys to help on the YouTube platform when it comes to
MKGHB is really good.
yeah, when it comes to like gun dudes, even though like Johnny B, right? He does kind of more political stuff, but he does a lot of reviews and stuff too. So he's been one of the most helpful people, like period. So I'm friends with that dude. I will be moving not too far from where he lives. Awesome guy, helped me out with lighting, helped me out with all these different things. He's way up there. Locally, we have an awesome group down here. It's me, Steve from Mr. Big Kid, Jonathan from Tactical Toolbox.
Yeah, those are cool guys.
Administrative Results lives like spitting distance from my house. So
I've never heard awesome of it. I've never heard of Administrative Results.
Administrative Results? Oh, dude, you have to watch it. He's like a parody of Grant Thumb.
Grant Thumb's already kind of a parody of himself.
Oh, but this is like next level. Like him and Grant Thumb are good friends. Like,
what's
so it's
it called?
like it's called Administrative Results. So they just he dropped a video, I think today, of Starship Troopers. So I actually did a video with him where I was the Russian Spetsnaz guy wearing a mask. It's all like hardcore LARPing, having fun, but it's awesome. I love that because it's just such good entertainment, right? So we have a cool group of people here that are like, we're all local. We go to the range together, have fun together. And those guys are the ones I generally watch because we're always trying to help each other with each other's channels. So Jonathan, like, he changed the way gun reviews and gun content is with his cinematography. And he managed to combine what the tech channel, because I always watched tech information. Like I wanted to know how to build my computer better. I wanted to know how to install this part or whatever. So I was always watching tech stuff. He combined how tech reviewers looked and did content with the 2A community and did really well with it. Steve, Mr. Big Kid, his cinematography is getting really awesome. His camera skills are just getting really, really good. Like his videos and his angles, much more artistic.
His new camera skills after what he bought today.
Yeah. Well, I was there on the range when his camera stuff flipped over 2 weeks ago and he broke it again. So those guys have both been huge influences just because you learn all these little bits and pieces from each other, and it's them because they're local to me. So I get to hang out with them, and a lot of the other guys I only get to see maybe once, twice, 3 times a year. When you're out at an event like SHOT Show or Iraq Veteran 8888 or one of those range day kind of things.
Yeah.
But I never, all the really big channels, like I didn't even know who Demo Ranch was. I didn't know who Kentucky Ballistics was until someone told me. I'm like,
I never heard of Kentucky Ballistics until he almost killed himself. And everyone's like, "Did you see this guy? He almost died." I'm like, "Who is it?" I have no idea.
Well, I knew who he was before that, but before, I had been on like YouTube probably over a year before I knew who most of those channels were.
Yeah.
And I want to say some of the really like Such, I didn't know who he was. And he's got like what 2 million subscribers or something.
Yeah, 2 channels.
Yeah.
Well, Urban Ninja had a question for you. Have you ever seen Administrative Results' actual face?
Absolutely.
Why does he cover his face?
Don't worry about it.
All right, man.
I'm friends with him, man. He like I said, he lives right here. He's an awesome guy, just great. In fact, I got to go get my gun from him. He's got one of my guns.
Yeah, let's see. Too many choices. I've trended away from entertainment gun reviews, but can't get enough of Scott and Kentucky Ballistics. See, Kentucky Ballistics, nothing against them, but it's just not my. And even Matt, I don't care how many rounds you can shoot through a Jello.
Or the Stretch Armstrongs.
Like it's like I don't have time to watch stuff like that. It's not for me.
It's different. It's different content for different people, right? Like so,
a young kid.
Yeah, it's like mukbang. There's an audience for anything. If you're going to sit there and slurp down food, mukbang videos.
Yeah,
I didn't know what that was until Steve from Mr. Big Kid told me. I'm like, what the is mukbang? And he shows me. I'm like, oh Jesus Christ. But there's just different kinds of content for it. It's like
have you ever
Jesse
watched like a
from
real
One Shot, you know.
have you ever watched a real ASMR video where these people start making weird noises and stuff?
No,
It is, oh, that's a whole rabbit hole. You'll thank me later.
no, not.
ASMR girls, and then they just talk real weird and they make clicky noises. It's people
Oh,
watch it, they get millions and millions of views, and it's
it,
so stupid.
yeah, and it's like I said, there's a butt for every seat. There's a food for every mouth, right? Everybody likes something different. I do like some Kentucky Ballistics videos when he does like the gun genie thing where he's acting like Arnold. I think that's hilarious. I'd probably watch more of it if I had time, but
I've watched a couple of his videos. They're not bad.
Yeah, generally when I'm like searching for content, I'm looking for something so specific, and it's generally related to, you know, how do I tune my LS motor in my hot rod better or something like that. I'm looking for like very technical things. If I'm looking for entertainment, that's when I go to Johnny B and I watch like, you know, Spicy Friday or.
I will watch Spicy Friday a lot. I watch Johnny B quite a bit actually. You
That's
know
like
who I just met and I thought was, again, he's been in here forever. Have a good night, sweetheart. Yeah. So, Carry Trainer. Have you ever watched any Carry Trainer's videos, Mickey?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I've seen a couple of his videos.
So I'm at this CCW Safe thing, and he's over here, and he's talking a lot of shit, a really good sarcastic sense of humor. I'm like, I got to meet this guy. I don't know what he does.
Yeah.
And my friend's like, oh, you've never seen Carry Trainer? He's the best channel ever. I'm like, I've never heard of him. Huge following, great channel, and he's really funny. Like he is hilarious. And we shot the next day. I talked to him a little bit. I'm trying to get him to come on the show. I think he said he would come on in a week or two, and that's another channel. Like he's been around for years, and you just don't know.
Yeah, long time.
There's so many guys out there like that.
Yeah, no, he's been around a long time. He does good content, and he's very, very, very knowledgeable. So like he's not on YouTube, but one of the guys I pay a lot of attention to is Mike Levy from Knockout Lights.
Mike who?
Mike Levy from Knockout Lights. He's an Instagram dude, but that dude, I know his history. I know what he's done and where he teaches and things like that. That dude is straight legit. And if you can get to California to take one of his classes, he only charges like $250, man. I went out there because I wanted to start a series of videos on like kind of telling people like, hey, this is a good class to go to, or not vetting instructors, but going and saying, hey, this was a really great instructor. You go see this person, you know, if you're in this area.
Right.
I'm trying to step that back up again this year, but because of the past 2 years, traveling was not going to work. But Mike Levy, if you're looking for straight knowledge-based content with actual in use, and that dude trains with dudes from different SOCOM units to FBI HRT guys. He's no joke, man. He is fast as shit and hella accurate with a gun.
Yeah. I'm looking for someone local here because honestly, you know, I shoot a lot, but I'm not that great of a shot. And I was at that event and there was this giant guy, huge guy, and he was shooting and he was such a good shot that literally his gun recoil was nothing. The fact that he was a monster probably helped him, but he had such good control of that recoil. I was like, there were a lot of trainers were there. I was like, can you give me some tips? So he fixed my grip, right? And had me press my palms together and put my weight more on my toes. And I'm like, it kind of hurts. And he goes, I don't give a shit. And I was like, it hurts. But man, I shot way better. So just a couple little tips like that changed the way I shoot from moving forward. Because then I went the next day and practiced. And I still suck, but I suck less.
Yeah, it's not rocket science, man. Hold the gun right. Don't disturb it when you pull the trigger.
Right.
It's, you know, there's not a lot to it, and then it's just, you know, staying for that next alignment. And there's things have evolved, you know, in shooting. Remember, you know, it's called a handgun for a reason, right? Because you held it bladed with one hand. It's not called a hands gun. We now hold it with two hands, right? And the grip went from this teacup kind of weird thing to this thumbs forward grip where you went from Weaver to isosceles to this modified whatever.
Yeah.
And it was locked out. The shoulders were up like this. And now it's much more relaxed. And you leave that bend in your elbow so you can take that recoil. And everybody's got their own little way that's going to make you better. In all reality, it's figuring out what your body wants, because, you know,
It's
one
like
of the things
working
I tell
out.
people,
Everybody's
yeah,
a little different, you know?
yeah. And I used to tell people a lot when I used to teach a lot, you know, both in hand combatives and firearm stuff. But, you know, I used to tell people, how many people do you see when they're pointing at something, point like this? They usually
Yeah,
point
right.
like that, right? Because this is a more natural, comfortable angle for your bicep and all the tendons and everything to be at. It's not stressed out. As soon as you turn that, your bicep flexes, you put tension on everything. Well, you can't hold the gun like that, but if you hold it, maybe just, if you're not doing good here, maybe try 2 or 3 degrees like that. You might just find out that's going
Right.
to make a world of difference in your grip, because everybody's body's different, everybody's wrists are different, everybody's got different injuries, you know, whatever. So, you know,
Right. Right. So real quick, my Mount Rushmore is just because I've only been doing this a year, and so I only watch a few. And I think Dan, the firearm guy, just because he can one take any product in one take, and he'll do his whole video in one take, which is
I just
amazing.
met him at this past SHOT Show. I met him with you.
Yeah,
Yeah, I met him with you. I had no idea who he was. I'm like, who the fuck's this old guy?
little short guy. But man, he. So I called him once and I was talking to him. I was like, Dan, I got to do this Parrot review, the CZ Parrot. And I don't know a lot about the gun. So over the phone, he just started and just did a 15-minute
Yeah,
monologue on the Parrot. And I'm like, what? What?
yeah,
I didn't write none of it down. So I was like, damn, I should have wrote it down. But he is amazing at doing these one takes.
yeah.
Old Demolition Ranch, the old Demolition Ranch. I used to watch that a lot because it was very entertaining. Mr. Big Kid, because the cinematography, man, when I ran across his channel, I saw his opening. Remember, he did that really cool opening.
Yeah.
I don't think he does it anymore, but it blew me away that
I
his,
think he rolls it, but his own personal skills and like the way he sees changing a shot into another, he's getting very good with the cinematography.
now his thumbnails too are just bananas.
Thumbnails are fire, dude.
Amazing. And then who else? The first Guntuber I ever watched was FPS Russia, because it was
I never saw a single video of that.
really, I used to watch him
No.
like crazy. You
I
knew it.
never went to YouTube for gun content ever. I never did. That popped up on my feed, I remember, because it was the one where they were shooting like a piece of artillery, and then I watched that, and then you know what popped up next to it was Range Time with Corey and Erica.
Corey and Erica.
You don't remember that? Turned into a whole thing where that whole channel disappeared because he was lying about being in the military. He got kicked out or something, so that channel fell apart. But it was huge. That channel got massive for a while. I feel like there's like a history thing on it. I did watch that. I saw that it popped up.
I remember I was working graveyard, and I would watch like old Alex Jones videos and all kinds of crazy stuff. And then FPS came up, and I was just getting into guns, and he's shooting all these crazy guns and blowing up cars, and I'd never seen Tannerite before, and then he was using real dynamite, and I was like, wow, that's amazing. But he was the first. I think he was the first one to really go crazy on YouTube, especially with guns, big guns.
Yeah, I think
this was 14, 15 years ago.
I think Eric from Iraq Veteran 8888 was the first, because he was actually one of the first 50 channels that YouTube monetized.
I think Eric and him knew each other.
Yeah, it probably
because I think he was from Georgia too. I think they knew each other, but
he's doing videos again, or he's got a live stream again or something. He went to jail.
Kyle does a video game live stream where he does commentary.
Yeah, didn't he? He did a couple years, didn't he, for all that stuff?
He did 9 months.
Okay, yeah, cool. That sucks.
Yeah, but 9 months in prison. That's still 9 months.
Yeah,
you might still walk out a little funny.
Yeah,
yeah. But
no, but I never saw I saw one video. They were shooting a piece of artillery, and it was in front of like a lake. And then I watched that, and that Range Time with Corey and Erica video came up next. And then
Range Time with Corey and Erica.
It's gone. It's completely gone. You can look up the history on it, but somebody made a video talking about the demise of there's a channel out there that basically does the demise of this YouTube channel. And that's actually a channel that I watch, because it'll tell stories of these channels that were just massive at one point and then just disappeared, or And it's just channels from all walks of life, and it happened across my feed one time. But yeah, it was the gun content I just never saw much of on there. You know, man, I was always watching car stuff or
Yeah, car stuff.
Yeah.
My channel started out as a car channel, and nobody cared.
Yeah, you got a Hellcat or something, right? Or
no, I had a GTR, and I would do I would do these car show videos, spend hours editing them, putting music and all that. 100 views, nobody cares. I stand in front of an academy with my cell phone, 5,000 views in like a day. I'm like, what am I doing wrong? So the Arms Man says, I used to love that channel until Corey did it to himself. They were great. I got to figure it out. Chris says, I remember the day I found out FPS wasn't actually Russian.
No, Arkansas white boy, dude. He wasn't Russian at all.
No, not at all. Heck, I met a lot of people in the chat doing these ammo runs.
Yeah. It's kind of weird the first time somebody's yelling your name in public, and you're like, what the fuck? You're looking around, and hey, Mike, and I'm all, hey, he's all, hey, were you really telling the truth about that SIG? And I'm like, yeah, I love it, dude. You should try it.
Yeah, I was it's funny, for a while I couldn't go to academy in the morning. People were like, hey, I know you. I'm like, man, that's cool. Sweet. And then I was eating dinner with my wife, and this guy came up. He was like, hey, what's up, man? I'm like, hey. It's cool though.
Yeah, I always carry patches with me, the channel patches to give out to them. I actually need to order some more. I ran out. So
yeah, I gotta get some. Where do you get your patches made?
I can't remember the name of the place. It's my buddy Sean. He's another Ranger guy. He lives out here too. He moved here from Texas. He's got a company that he works with. He's got a company called Scroll Factory. They do all kinds of like military clothing and stuff. He hooked me up with his link on it. I'll forward it to you when I find it. I can't remember the name of the company.
Are you coming to NRA show?
I was just talking to Steve about that like a couple hours ago, man.
Dude, it's 20 minutes from my house. We'll go get I'll take you guys out for a tomahawk steak.
Tomahawk steak. I'm still on the fence, dude. I'm not really down too much with what the NRA has been doing.
No, you don't need to pay. Just do a press pass. You don't need to.
No, I know. I've got a press pass for it, but it's.
Look, you know what? It's like the whole Springfield Armory thing.
They're a dumpster fire, dude. So
the management sucks.
Yeah.
But all these sweet people that have been lifetime members, you can't hold it against them.
No, I don't hold it against them at all. It's just another trip, more time away from my wife and work and everything else. But I try to save those experiences for the cool stuff like
How long have you been married?
Huh?
How long have you been married?
4 years as of last week.
Oh, okay, that explains it. Yeah. Once you're about,
after you're
like 10 to 15 years, you're like, oh, honey, there's a conference, I gotta go.
Well, see, I waited a lot later in life till most people to get married. So
yeah, but you do it once, do it right.
Yeah, exactly.
We got 2A EDU in the chat. I love that guy too, man. You want to get inspired to talk about the Constitution? Watch him for 5 minutes. You'll be out there and
2A EDU. I'll check it out for sure.
You'll be doing Paul Revere quotes. The guy gets you jacked up, man. All right, let's see. We need Smash Time Challenge coins. What is that?
A challenge coin? It's just a coin.
Oh, that'd be kind of cool.
They're expensive as hell, though.
The NRA sucks, but you should support the people to get some exposure industry. Yeah, I'm just going to go because literally it's 20 minutes from my house.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Guns and water, beneficial life. Oh, look at that. Joe Little with a $1.99 super sticker. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Nice. So what hobbies do you have outside of guns and marriage and work?
Oh, shit. Building cars.
Okay.
Building components.
What's your car of the week now? What are you working on?
The next one up is a 56 Studebaker short bed truck. I've got everything across the spectrum from European sports cars to old hot rods. I've been building cars since I was, since I could stumble into the garage with my father. So, Chevy trucks, Ford, I don't give a shit. If it's cool and it's from like pre-73 in the cars and, pre-87 in the trucks, I'm probably okay with it.
So check this out. A buddy of mine, is he from Arizona? I think he's from Arizona, but he's getting his GTR. He has 2. He's getting 1 built here. Now his work is sending him to Germany for 4 years. And I said, hey, I'll let you keep it in my garage if I can drive it maybe once a month. And it's going to be like a 1,200 horsepower monster. And he goes, okay. I'm like, get out of town. So I'm going to babysit this car maybe for 3 years while he's in Germany working. And I'm not going to abuse it, but I will have a lot of fun with this vehicle.
You can lay it on hard without abusing it. Just remember that.
Yeah, because it will have a built transmission. Those transmissions blow up so quick, man. What's up says tactical consideration. What's up?
Doing it, man. The what's up? What's up?
Yeah, what's up? What's up, man? Well, I tell you what, Mike, I appreciate you coming on the show, guys. If you're not a subscriber, again, I will put a link to his channel in the chat. Oh, look at this 2AEDU with the super chat. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate you, man.
You got enough for a Happy Meal now, brother.
Dude, I've tried. Oh, I'm on carnivore. I can't do it.
Oh, okay.
It's because of you guys. I'm on carnivore. Because at the Gundies, I look like Uncle Fester's retarded cousin in all those pictures, and I was like, man, I can't do this anymore. Because I used to be a personal trainer in California. I used to be a fitness junkie.
Yeah.
I moved to Texas, and I just blew up. So
it's all that barbecue, bro.
I jumped on the scale when I got back from the Gundies at 320, and now I'm at 281.
Oh, good. It's good you're losing weight though, man.
And then shit, man. I wanna get down to 220. I think I'd be pretty good at 220. I might be able to see my toes at 220. Hell, I might be able to appendix carry at 220.
Yeah.
Right now, that's not an option. I can't do it. It's not happening.
Yeah. You get there. Yeah. Hard work, little sweat.
Yeah, so far I haven't been working out. I've just been doing the diet. Well, just lifestyle change, you know. And it's great. Yeah. I love it. It's super easy. I eat steak and chicken and it's the best. It's idiot proof. Hot wings all the time. Hot wings. It's great. It's great. But hey guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Mike, do you got anything else you want to tell these good people besides subscribe to your channel?
Appreciate you having me on, man. It's been fun. It's nice to be able to do something a little different than just making a static video and pushing it out. So maybe I'll see you at NRA. Steve's trying to talk me into that. So if I can, I probably will, but it's a tough schedule right now.
I will take you guys for the best tomahawk steak in town. And this is nothing to sneeze at. Literally, it will melt. If you've heard of that phrase, melt in your mouth, and you're like, oh, it doesn't. This steak will melt. First, you go in the back room and you pick out the one you want. They cook it to perfection, and it will literally melt as you take bites. Oh, love it. Love it. That's going to inspire you, man. Or that, or we'll just go get a shit ton of Texas barbecue.
Right. Or both.
Yeah. It's hard to get bad barbecue here. It's like getting bad Mexican food in Arizona.
True. That's true.
Here, it's great. I love Texas.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much, Mike. I appreciate you, brother. And I'll see you at the NRA show in a few weeks.
All right, man.